Hello and welcome back to JG3 Reviews. Today we have another pen. Another package came in. This is how you get pens from China when you buy them on eBay, and fancy wrappers like that little plastic sleeve. But I am excited about this pen. It's a Demonstrator. It's a different brand. Never bought one of these before, so this is a cold turkey review, so to speak. No impressions whatsoever other than just taking it out of the package so far. So far, I like what I see. It's a Demonstrator. I haven't even filled it up yet. I'll show you how it fills here in just a second with a bottle of ink. And it does not take cartridges. If you're looking for a pen that takes cartridges, then I'd suggest after you finish this review, go back and look at some of those Jen Hao reviews. Some good pens there, and some good ones coming again. But this one is a Demonstrator, and I like these because you get to see all the inner workings of the fountain pen, which is actually, that's part of why I like them. I like the way they work. So let's turn the camera around and I'll show you what I like and what I don't like about this. I'll show you how it writes and show you how it looks once it's filled, because this is a clear pen, and that's part of why you buy one. And let's flip the camera. Okay, so what we have here is the Wingsung 3008. Wingsung is a Chinese brand. They've been around since the 30s, made an awful lot of pens. And this one, from the few reviews that I've seen before, and they did influence me to buy the pen, is a generally well-liked fountain pen. I don't have a Demonstrator that is only piston filled until this one. Most of mine you can use a converter cartridge, but this one is strictly a filler. There's no international cartridges, none of that. So you'll need to have bottled ink like we have back here if you want to use this pen. But I've seen great reviews, and this is kind of, for me, unlike the other pens that I've reviewed so far where I've taken a week or so to be able to review them. This one is a straight out of the package. You can see it right over there. Straight out of the package review. So more of a first impressions. And of course, if the first impression is not the accurate impression, I'll come back and I'll let you know if it's better or worse than I thought. But I have good expectations of this pen. We'll see if it lives up to that. It is a screw-on cap. Again, this doesn't come out, but the nib does come out. You can replace that nib fairly easily. The way the piston works, and we'll fill it here in just a second to show you, is it has a little bit of a snap there. Honestly, first time I was going to use it, I was a little afraid that something was wrong. I do wonder about the durability of that because of that snap, but that's something that, you know, if this goes wrong, I'll come back here and I'll post a video about it. But you know, you screw that until it goes forward all the way to get the air out, and then you'll vacuum fill as you screw it back the other direction with ink. So that's the way that works. It is a steel nib. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Oh yeah, and this one is fine. The pens that I've reviewed so far have all been medium. Even if they said fine, they really wrote medium. And so this one is fine, and we'll see whether or not in our writing impressions here in a second whether or not that's actually true, but that's the way it's graded anyway. So it is completely clear, as you can see, and clear here as well in the fins and even behind the nib. So that actually, this is the pen nerd in me, I guess, that actually is probably going to look pretty cool when this blue ink goes through there, and we'll see how all of that works. I'll tell you what, let me pause for a second and get that bottle open, and we'll see how it fills up. So what I have here is a J. Herbin, and it's Eclat de Saphir. I've used that for a couple of reviews already. I've had this bottle for quite a while. So the only thing, and I'll tell you, this is not a review of this ink particularly, but really love the color. I like how it writes. The only complaint I would have is that the bottle is kind of shallow, as you can see, and so sometimes trying to fill up is not quite as straightforward as it could be, and some of their bottle designs are a little bit easier to fill. But if you've never used one of these, what you do first is you do screw that all the way down so that it pushes the air out, and then you lower this down into the ink, and then all you have to do is screw that back up and it will fill. Now again, this bottle is shallow, and so guess what happened? Nothing. Let's try that again. Okay, so as I said, this bottle is being contrary a little bit more. I don't think it's the pen, I think it's the bottle. There we go. I had to pick it up and tilt it just right. Hold my eyebrows just right. There we go. Now you can see how that fills, see? And because it is a demonstrator, you see that entire thing, which personally, I know it's not important, but I think it's cool. So that's how it's going to look. Now let's see how it writes. Let's see how this writes. This is, again, the Wing Sung 3008. And this is a J. Urban Eclat. I know I'm not probably saying that correctly. Des Saphir. I, as you can tell, don't speak French. And I think, as you can tell, I would say it's graded as a fine nib, but I'm probably going to call this still just to the fine side of medium. Is that being too picky? But I'd say it's just to the fine side of medium. And my first impression is pretty good. The flow is just fine. I'm not having any trouble. There's no dry starts. It's not blotchy. I don't like a blotchy pen, so I'm really glad to see that. It seems to write fairly clear. A couple of other notes about this pen in terms of its appearance. Right here you can see that, oh, maybe you can't. Let's focus that thing. If I can get it to focus, yes, you can see that Wing Sung, which is living forever. You can see that there on that metal band at the end of the cap, and that's nice. The model number is also etched on the back. See, this is so new, I haven't even taken off the label. Check that out. That will be going because, frankly, I'm surprised I didn't peel it off in the middle of this review because I just don't like stickers and labels left on there for very long. There is also this metal band at the just below the plunger here, and so it makes for a nice appearance. I think it's a good looking everyday pen. You might notice it's similar in style to TWSBI's if you're familiar with those, but they're not identical. They're not. It's not a copy of that. They work differently. And TWSBI it's a next class up from this pen anyway. Maybe we'll get one of those here for review sometime. But overall, I'm going to tell you, I think it's my first impression is that I'm going to enjoy this pen. I think it's a good looking demonstrator, and I think for everyday use that this is a recommendable pen so far. And again, if you have experience with it long term, I'd really like long term feedback, and you know how durable the plunger is and how well it writes long term, please feel free to share that in the comments below. Okay, so that is my first impression review of the Wing Sung 3008. Again, I think that's a good looking pen. Love the demonstrator thing where it really shows off. It doesn't come across in the camera probably as well as it does in person. Really shows off the ink. So pick a good ink, pick a good color. Go find something you really like and get a demonstrator pen. And the Wing Sung 3008, I tell you, I think my first impression is it's a good everyday demonstrator. And so if you're new to pens, this might be a great one to start with. And if you have any comments on the durability, I mentioned that, and your impressions of this pen, please feel free to share them in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I've still got a couple more pens from my shopping spree that are coming in. And in fact, I think one's supposed to be due next week. So come back and check out our other reviews. I will put links below to where you can find this pen on Amazon, or you can adventure out into eBay or whatever. But give this Wing Sung 3008 a chance. My first impression is it's a pen I'm going to like. Thanks, and have a great day.